Good morning. Before the time of computers, listen to me, I sound like I'm 100 years old. If you didn't want to call someone, you had to write them a letter or send them a telegram to ask them a question. And then you had to wait for them to respond with a letter or a telegram or maybe a phone call to give you the response that you wanted. And so the delay between the asking of the question and the receiving of the answer was something that was extended much longer than it is for us today. I mean, really, I can text you a question, and if you're on your phone, in the next minute, I will get your reply. Sometimes for us, when we are interacting with God, with the divine, we feel the same way. We feel that between the asking of a question and the receiving of an answer, we are waiting an eternity. It's like God is not paying attention. That a lot of times we feel like there's an unnecessary delay, a time shift, gap between when I want what I want to know. Like, can God just not come through for me? And we know from what theologians and scripture has told us that if we ask, we will receive. And we are hoping that the receiving is in the affirmative, right? Like, please let me get what I want, what I need. Please let the answer be yes. But still there is this lag time in some instances where we're wondering if God is paying attention. Supposedly, not a hair from my head is uncounted, that God's counted them all, that a bird does not fall from a tree without God knowing, and yet sometimes we feel like we wait a lifetime to know what's in the mind of God in response to the needs that we have. Is God playing games with us? Is the divine jerking us around, kind of doing a power play, making us really realize that we are utterly dependent and that God is the one who has all the authority, all the cards, and all the answers? Well, the God that I love, the God that I know in my own story, and this is where it's important for you to check about the God you know and the God who loves you in your own story, that God does not behave that way. My personal experience, if I'm doing kind of sleuthing on the evidence of God, the fingerprints of God in my life, God does not just leave me hanging. And yet God's timing on things sometimes has me feeling like I'm sweating it out. Like I would really like to know sooner than later. And please, with an immense sense of clarity, could you just make it super clear? I mean, and if you could write it on a wall somewhere or sing it in a song to me to where I would get the answer right away, be even better. And so I wonder sometimes that am I just not listening well enough? Or is God really delaying the response? I don't think God plays games with us. I don't think there's anything in it for God to play hard to get. It's hard enough for us to trust God, and then to have God delay in responding or play hide and go seek with the needs that we have doesn't develop the trust we need to continue to ask and to believe that God would do anything for us. And so in that gap between my asking a question and receiving an answer, for me it's about sitting with an open heart. What's the deeper message? And if I trust God to be the one to give me yes, to reply to my questions, then I need to remain faithful in the waiting for the answer. Not to get frustrated and sigh and leave myself and God away, but to remain connected. What is God going to reveal? And to believe that everything God reveals will be about love.